Today, we're getting into a film that maybe flew under the radar a bit at first, but has really stuck around. Doug Liman's Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a fascinating one. We've looked over some great material exploring how it's more than just your standard action flick, right? It really plays with sci-fi conventions.
Exactly. And with Liman's whole approach to filmmaking. So today, we're going to unpack some key stuff based on that material.
Okay, so we'll look at Lehman's directing style, what makes his films tick, then dig into the themes he keeps coming back to, especially how they manifest in this movie's core concept.
Right. And we'll also touch on the context of its release, give a quick plot refresher, just the basics, and then really focus on what makes it innovative.
You mean the technical side, the look and feel, and definitely that time loop structure. It's kind of central.
Totally central. Plus, we'll talk about its influence, its legacy now, and how people reacted to it back then, and maybe how that's changed.
Sounds good. The mission is basically to piece this all together and figure out why Edge of Tomorrow feels, well, different, and what that says about Doug Liman today.
Okay, let's start with Liman's style. The material suggests it's less about a signature visual look, like, say, you instantly know a Wes Anderson movie. It's more about energy.
Yeah, narrative energy. It's vigorous, dynamic. Think about the movement, the tension. His films often feature characters in serious crisis.
And that handheld camera thing he does puts you right in the thick of it.
Exactly, visual dynamism. And the structure can feel almost chaotic, bordering on falling apart, but somehow it doesn't. He keeps it controlled.
Controlled chaos, yeah. And the material really highlights how action reveals character for him. It's not just explosions.
Right, think Bourne Identity. Jason Bourne finds out who he is through fighting, or Mr. and Mrs. Smith, their whole relationship plays out in those action scenes.
So how does that feed into Edge of Tomorrow?
Well, there's always this pulse of movement, transformation, tension, and the time loop in Edge of Tomorrow just perfectly pulls all those threads together. The action repeats, but it changes, becomes almost like a dance, as Cage learns.
But it still feels gritty, right? Not like a clean, choreographed fight.
Oh, absolutely visceral. The editing is quick, frenetic, matching the battlefield chaos. But like you said before, it stays clear. You know what's going on.
And the camera gets right down in the muck, doesn't it? In the trenches. Really grounds the futuristic stuff.
It makes the sci-fi feel real, lived in. It's this blend of huge spectacle and these moments of real character reflection. An existential battlefield is a good way to put it.
Which ties into the themes, I guess.
Yeah.
Particularly to identity.
Liman seems fascinated by identity under pressure. Characters forced to reinvent themselves in extreme circumstances.
Like Bourne losing his memory but keeping the skills, having to build a new self. Or the Smiths juggling their secret lives.
Yeah, and Edge of Tomorrow takes that idea somewhere else entirely. It's metaphysical. Cage is reliving death. His identity gets stripped bare.
He has to change just to survive the next loop.
Exactly. The change isn't optional. It's forced on him by this relentless cycle. The loop isn't just a gimmick. It is the transformation engine.
So it's like a prison, but also a tool. The material frames it that way, like forced learning through sacrifice.
It really pushes that idea that growth, maybe even evolution, comes through repeated systematic failure. You fail, you learn, you try again, maybe fail slightly better.
Almost Nietzschean, right. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, literally, by giving you knowledge for the next loop.
Precisely. And what's amazing is, despite how dark that sounds, reliving your death constantly, the film has this incredible vein of humor.
Yeah, it's genuinely funny in places, often darkly so. It finds this balance, cynical, but not quite parody. You still feel the stakes.
Okay, so let's place the film. Doug Liman, born 65. Interesting background. Father involved in politics. Started indie with Swingers, which was huge for Gen X.
And then, boom. Bourne Identity, kind of redefined the spy thriller. Quite a leap.
A massive leap. So when Edge of Tomorrow lands in 2014, the sci-fi scene was, well, a bit serious, maybe. Lots of dystopia, often visually slick, but thematically heavy. Think Oblivion, Elysium, Interstellar.
And Edge of Tomorrow comes in with this almost like irreverent tone and that explosive rhythm.
Yeah, it felt different. Playful structure, despite the war setting. Big budget, too, around $178 million. And it was based on a Japanese light novel, All You Need Is Kill. Not your usual Blockbuster source back then.
Plus Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. That helps.
Definitely helps.
Okay, quick recap for anyone hazy on the plot. Earth's invaded by aliens.
Yeah.
Mimics Tom Cruise's Cage, a PR guy, totally not a soldier, gets thrown onto the front line.
Dies almost immediately, gets covered in alien goo.
And wakes up back at the start of the same day, stuck in a time loop. Every death resets the day.
His only way out is teaming up with Emily Blunt's character, Rita Vrataski, the legendary Angel of Verdun, who knows something about the loop, to figure out how to use this awful power to actually win.
It's that mix, isn't it? War movie, sci-fi, but also feels like a video game. Learn the level by dying repeatedly.
But the material stresses, it's not just mechanical repetition, it's driving the drama, the emotion, Cage's whole arc.
So let's get into that innovation, the time loop itself. How did Liman use it differently than, say, Groundhog Day?
Well, in Groundhog Day, or even Source Code, the loop happens to the character and they react. Here, the loop is the progression. It's how the character develops and how the narrative moves forward.
Right, because time isn't moving forward linearly outside the loop. But Cage is changing internally with each cycle. He keeps the knowledge.
Exactly. He loses the physical gains, maybe the trust he built in one loop, but the information, the strategy that accumulates, it's fascinating.
That's been incredibly hard to film and edit, though.
Oh, a nightmare, apparently. Shooting countless versions of scenes with tiny variations. Huge credit goes to the editor, James Herbert, for making sense of it all, compressing, expanding, skipping loops, but always keeping Cage's emotional journey clear.
And visually, it walks that line too, right? Classic war movie grit, the beach landing, the trenches, but with futuristic mech suits.
You see echoes of Saving Private Ryan in the chaos, maybe Starship Troopers with the bug-like aliens, but Lyman's dynamic style prevents it from just looking like a cutscene.
So what about its legacy?
Yeah.
It wasn't a monster hit right away, was it?
Not immediately huge at the box office, no. But its reputation has just grown and grown. It's definitely a cult classic now, a key reference point for any time loop story.
You see its DNA in things like Happy Death Day, applying the loop to horror comedy.
Or Russian Doll on TV, which really leans into the loop as a metaphor for personal growth and dealing with trauma, very much like Cage's journey. It proves smart blockbusters could still be pure fun.
And it shifted perceptions of the actors too, didn't it? Showed Cruise as more vulnerable, initially inept.
Yeah, a different kind of hero for him. And it absolutely cemented Emily Blunt as a top-tier action star. Full Metal bitch. Iconic.
How was it received initially? Critically, pretty well.
Overwhelmingly positive from critics right away. High scores everywhere. Praise for the smart script, the originality, the chemistry.
But audiences were a bit slower. Maybe the marketing, that title thing was confusing.
Possibly. Edge of Tomorrow versus Live, Die, Repeat. The tagline probably explained the hook better. But yeah, audiences caught up over time. Now it's often called underrated or a hidden gem.
Still talk of a sequel, but seems unlikely.
Remains uncertain, which kind of adds to its unique standing as this great standalone film.
So summing up Liman, maybe not an auteur in that singular visual style sense, like you said, compared to Anderson or Nolan.
But the material suggests his real talent is shaking up genres from the inside, taking familiar structures, spy film, sci-fi war, and injecting them with this incredible energy and innovative narrative thinking.
And Edge of Tomorrow is like exhibit A for that, showing you can have massive spectacle that's also intelligent and has real emotional weight.
Absolutely. And its core ideas stick with you. Transformation, resilience through adaptation, facing failure, time, memory. And that central, compelling idea that making mistakes, even dying in the loop, is part of learning, part of evolving.
It's a great reminder that big Hollywood movies can still be creative, take risks, and feel like, well, like art sometimes.
Definitely. It's a film that really rewards watching it again, fittingly enough.
Yeah. So a final thought for you listening. Think about that core concept. Systematic failure being necessary for growth.
How does that idea land with you? Does it reflect how you learn things, tackle challenges? Is progress ever just a straight line, or is it more like Cage's loop? Trying, failing, adapting, trying again?
Something to chew on. We'd love to hear what you think about the film and these ideas too.